I like Comparaduns, but I don't like building dams in front of wings. There is way more efficient way to lift wings upwards, and that way that is more efficient, I think that it got way better as well. In this video, I will talk about these things. How to lift up wings vertically in a more efficient way, plus in a more improved way, I believe. Then I will show you my way of building trailing shucks and why I believe it's one of the best ways to make them. And of course, along the way, I will explain all those nuances as you tie a fly, why I do and how I do it. Now, let's talk materials first. And by the end of the video, I will also write down the whole list of materials so you don't have to bother finding along the way. Now, the hook is Tiemco 900 barbless in size 14. It's kind of universal size, but you can go bigger or smaller depending on what you're trying to imitate. Thread, I'm gonna use 2 threads. The first thread is going to be the extreme standard in 6/0. Color is gray, but that's completely irrelevant at the moment. Second thread I'm gonna use is Nano Silk by Semperfli in 30 denier or 18/0, and that is because I want strong loop, and you will see why. Strong loop is super important here. For the trailing shuck, I'm gonna use Antron, and as usual, it's ginger variant that I'm using here. For the body, I will use Argentinian hair, and this one is kind of orangey, rusty color. And let me just show you. This one is in orange, or you can just pick up something like red or green or whatever you like. You don't have to use Argentinian hair. Obviously, you can use Antron, you can use some curls, whatever you want to do. Super fine dubbing is also great. For the wings, I'm going to use deer hair, and this is by Nature Spirit all-purpose deer hair. For the thorax and legs, I will be using some CDC, and for this one you will need longer CDC, well, with longer radius. To start the fly, I will use the first thread I mentioned in 6/0, and I need it a little bit stronger so I can cinch down onto the deer hair. I will start with reverse jam hitch because I want to start with thread behind near the rear. So tag it, just transfer it to the front. So I'm gonna make a base for my body and wings later on. Now, I will cut a piece of deer hair, remove the underfur, because removing the underfur helps you stack those wings better. And this particular piece of hair has a lot of underfur. And recently I've been tying those Comparaduns with the underfur too, and they look quite good, I have to say. Let me just show you one of these bodies here. Not bad, I think. It's a nice fine dubbing, and it's not water repellent. Don't be fooled by that. I tried it. It soaks water relatively quickly, so it's not water repellent if you want that. Now I'm gonna stack the hair, feed it into the stacker. Now, very important is to remove the hair in the way you want to tie it in. So you want your wings to extend over the eye of the hook. So you manipulate hair as little as possible. So this way I have them stacked like this, but now I'm going to pinch it the other way so I get more round cross section. Now I will kind of, well, I want to align it one more time. Anyway, you will see that my idea is like those black tips that I am having, I don't count them in overall wing length because they are almost invisible. Invisible for us, invisible for fish. So I'm gonna measure the wing length without them. So basically I already have them measured. Counter spin the bobbin holder counterclockwise so you get a round cross section of the thread. Put everything on the top of the hook shank. Loose wrap. Keep it on the top as much as you can. Loose wrap. Cinch down a little bit, not too much. Another wrap and then cinch together with fingers and pull up. Now you need to do a couple of wraps like this and then pull on butt ends. And just make this little thread base here. Now I'm just gonna pull off those hairs away and kind of, I want to cut this by an angle because angle will actually produce taper. Well, be careful not to cut the thread. So you want as little of these buttons as possible, but also you need taper. So kind of you have to compensate for things. Okay, I'm just gonna cut those here. Okay, now as I'm wrapping towards the bend, flat thread becomes very important because flat thread covers bigger surface and it's easier to cover all those butt ends more efficiently, as you can see, creating taper. And later on when you start building up your fly, those butt ends won't show through the dubbing. I may just make a little bit of taper here and that's it. Now we've finished the fly. Obviously it's not finished. This one I don't need. Oh, okay, I didn't make a good finish, but never mind. Dubbing is coarse and spiky and it will hide most of my messed up bulged underbody here. Keep it there. The reason why I don't use Semperfli Nano Silk for the tying in wings is because I can easily cut those wings with my thread. Now let's talk about trailing shuck as I promised, and how to build one that's like very nicely tapered. Take just a pinch of Entron and dub it as loosely as you can. Like, it has to be around the thread but loose, like you're a complete beginner. Dub it like a complete beginner. That's it. You can remove the thread away from you, then use Velcro or other brushing tool that you're using and just brush it out. That's it. Why I like this way of building trailing shuck is because it looks quite realistic. It's hollow, it's semi-translucent, it has this, as a real insect, tapered shape, like thin, very thick, and then gets thinner along the way. So almost like a real insect that was inside of it. That's my idea behind it. Now create a loop. Very simple. Couple of times around the loop. Now lead the loop all the way to the trailing shuck and then bring back the thread. Okay, I'm gonna lift those wings up and lead the thread towards the eye. In here, just in case, just make a whip finish so you don't lose anything. But it's not important to do it, but just as a precaution. Now, two things to prepare. We need to prepare some CDC, and for this I prefer longer Reikis feather. When I say longer Reikis feather, it's like maybe 3-4 centimeters long. Those barbs that are on the sides can be long as this, but it's not necessary to be that long. I'm gonna place them in my foam holder here. Okay, the CDC was not so good. So I'm gonna just take two CDCs, similar length, and I'm gonna stack them one on the top of another. It's easier to remove CDC from the loop than to add it, because the way I'm gonna do it doesn't allow me to do any corrections after I tie the fly. This is probably too much, 100% too much, but never mind. With a clip, open it up, remove the rachis, and now comes the magic. Make sure to use heavy dubbing twister. That's what I prefer actually, because you can always hang it down and do whatever you need to do. In this case, I need to add some dubbing first. So I'm making kind of a composite dubbing loop, meaning that I'm going to use dubbing loop with the dubbing and some CDC. Loosely dub around one leg of this some dubbing. Okay. Now, a little bit of experience is necessary to do this, because you can add too much or too little, and then afterwards you need to do to find a way how to add more dubbing when the dubbing loop is already used. Now I'm going to add CDC into the loop, and I'm going to make those barbs perpendicular to the loop, spread them out a bit. Yeah, that's it. Now spin everything like crazy. Another advantage of heavy dubbing twister is that it does spin like crazy. So I got a very nice dubbed body here. Just make it dub it. I was dubbing it in a counterclockwise direction, so as you can see, when I release kind of a pressure, that the loop jumps towards the tail, meaning that those wraps are going to be relatively tight, whether I want it or not. It just migrates that way. Okay. As you can see, I'm keeping those away from me. You can make like 2 wraps and then tighten everything a bit more. And then just tighten it from time to time. And that's why I love nano silk here, because it does make a difference. You can tighten everything like crazy. And that's it. Okay. Now, when you do this conventional way, there is a place without dubbing on the thorax area that you have to dub additionally, but now you don't have to do that. You just have to go with this dubbing loop through the wings, which will do 2 things. As I said at the beginning of the video, it will lift those wings up, and it will also cover the thorax, so you have your thorax done at the same time as you're lifting those wings. So just let me make 1 wrap with the CDC here. Okay, or 2. Okay, now take maybe 1/3 of the wings, and then go with your dubbing loop through it. Then make another batch and go through it. Then another, go through it, and the last one kind of go under it. Instead of building a dam, just go under it. It will push it up. And then just build the rest of the thorax as you wish. So this is making thorax, this is making those lively legs and so on. Okay, I'm gonna just, so actually I was wrong. It's not too much. I'm gonna wrap the loop and the thread around each other just to make it more secure. Then wraps to form a head, then pull back the loop, and then a couple of more wraps to secure everything down. Maybe it's overkill here, but I love doing those things to make sure that the fly is properly done. Make a whip finish knot. Tighten it. Cut it. Oh, it's easy to cut, just keep tension and press the blade against the nano silk here. You can see those beautiful legs. There's nothing to see because under, like, there is no empty space because CDC covered the thorax area. Spread the wings. Okay. And that's it. Additionally, you can just brush this out. In case you have too much of legs or something, just cut from beneath so the fly will lay down more flat with the water. That's it. CDC and elk Comparadun finished. Now let's see it from the front. Nicely splayed wings. Semicircle with added legs that will definitely give some movement of the water surface, and I think this is going to be a fish killer. I never tried this one, but I'm very positive that this is going to be a fish killer. So guys, this is finished fly. I hope you liked it. Hope you learned something new. Till next week, keep safe and tight lines.